All right, tomorrow rosters are due as the Chicago Bears will trim their roster to 53 players, and we're going to go live for that tomorrow. We did this last year as well, normally live today, but not today. Going to go live tomorrow on Tuesday, 2:30 Central Time. Cuts are in at 3 o'clock Central, so we'll break it all down live here on the show. Myself, producer Colin, it'll be a lot of fun. With that being said, it is time for my final Bears roster projection. I'm Harrison Graham. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. Time to unveil my final 53-man roster projection, plus a projected practice squad as well. Thought I'd take a stab at that. Let's go ahead and recap all of the cuts that have come in. I broke most of these down yesterday on 2 different videos. Some have been publicly announced, some haven't. Source revealed a few of these to me. Samori Toure, Royce Freeman, Chris Glazer, Caleb Hayes, Mark Perry, Mekhi Garner. No surprises there. Millard Bradford, Xavier Carlton, Jeremiah Walker, Swayze Bozeman, Thomas Gordon, and Joel Wilson. That one just came in. Kind of the first, at least, notable one, I would say, because he was someone who was fighting for a roster spot. Aaron Wilson had the scoop on this one. Wilson did lead the Bears in catches in the preseason, had a good OTAs period as well. The Bears are planning to get him back on the practice squad if he clears waivers. So fingers crossed on that. We'll see if that ends up being the case. Also, that probably is a signal that the Bears are going to keep 3 tight ends unless they keep Steven Carlson as a 4th, so we'll wait and see on that one. Season-ending IR, 3 players are on that right now. Terrell Smith, Sean Wade, Deion Hankins. We'll see if anyone else goes to season-ending IR. Maybe Zay Frazier goes on some season-ending list. We'll talk about him a little bit later as well. So you've got that. After the Wilson cut, by my math, the Bears are down to 77 players. Now, let's go through some expected cuts real quick. Guys who it would be shocking if they made the 53. Austin Reed, I would expect him back on the P squad, but I think he gets cut. J.P. Richardson, Joshua Miles, Ricky Stromberg, Doug Kramer Jr. I think at this point it's pretty obvious those 2 guys get cut. Jordan McFadden, I think, gets cut as well as Bill Murray. Also, Jamry Chroma, Power Eccles, Carl Jones, Alex Cook, and Tysheem Johnson. Now, when you get to the roster bubble, I think these are guys to keep in mind. Roschon Johnson, Travis Homer, Britton Brown, Ian Wheeler. I just included all those running backs because after DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, pretty unclear who's going to make the team at running back. Jahdae Walker at wide receiver, Devin Duvernay at wide receiver, Tyler Scott, Miles Boykin at wide receiver as well, Stephen Carlson, Kiran Amegadjie, Dominique Robinson, Daniel Hardy. All on the bubble, as are Tanoh Kpassagnon, Chris Williams, Zach Pickens, Jonathan Ford, and Trey Flowers. That's how I see it, at least. Most of these guys, you can kind of tell, okay, they're probably on the right side of the bubble. This guy's probably on the wrong side of the bubble. Kind of an expanded look, but I think there's a world where these guys make it or some of these guys don't. So just wanted to let you guys keep that in mind as well. Who is a player on the bubble that you are personally rooting for? You are pounding the table for this guy to make the 53-man roster. I want to hear from you guys. Who are you rooting for on the bubble? Okay, let's get to the actual projection here. No changes at quarterback. Case Keenum could be a short-term IR candidate, or they could temporarily cut him if the injury is lingering and then bring him back whenever he's cleared. But I do think they want to keep him around regardless. Hopefully it's not a serious injury that he's dealing with. He is a vested vet, so he wouldn't be subject to waivers if they did cut him. But Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent's the 2, Case Keenum's the 3. I think he's on the initial 53, but if not, he'll be around in some capacity. Okay, running back. I think this is the hardest to figure out right now because some of these guys could go on IR. There could be a surprise cut in here. There could be a surprise addition. I'm keeping 3 on the 53 for now, but almost certainly something will change here. DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, Travis Homer, if he's healthy enough, I think makes the 53 as a special teamer. I'm going to put Roschon Johnson on short-term IR. I don't know what's going on with him. I know it was labeled a foot injury, but no one's seen him. Like, he hasn't been on the sideline. Like, Ian Wheeler, for example, didn't suit up last game. He was on the sideline, though. So, like, is something more going on with Roschon? Seems a little mysterious there. So, short-term IR, subject to return after week 4. Important reminder, teams get 2 short-term IR stashes. That way they can avoid waivers for those specific designations. So, in this case, Roschon could go to IR on cutdown day, not be out for the season like these other IR players are, but also not be subject to waivers where other teams can pick him up. Keep an eye on a trade potentially here, a waiver wire addition after cuts are made. I saw Cam Akers was cut. He could be a guy they bring in, who knows, but I think running back is a pretty fluid situation after DeAndre Swift. Okay, wide receiver. I'm going 6. I went 5 last time. I'm going 6 here. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Olamide Zaccheaus, Luther Burden. We know those 4 are making the team. After that, it's a bit of a question mark. I'm going to give the nod to Devin Duvernay. I think he's going to be the return specialist here. He's been banged up, missed the last couple of preseason games. And then to me, Jahdae Walker has earned a spot. He can play on special teams. I think he's worth keeping around to continue to develop as a receiver as well. He also tweeted out, and we talked about this on my late night video last night, nothing promised, everything earned, hashtag they ain't invite me. Now, is this something? Is this nothing? I kind of read this, if it is a cryptic tweet of, was he referring that he didn't even get invited to the NFL Combine and now he's made the team, everything earned? Again, who knows? Sometimes we look into this stuff too much. But regardless of this tweet, I think if they keep 6, he has earned that final spot, and his ability to play on special teams. He had the game-sealing tackle after the winning touchdown as well. I think he's got enough value there. Okay, I'm just going 3 tight ends. Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, Durham Smythe. I think throughout the summer and my most recent projection, I've had 4 because Ben Johnson does like to use 12 personnel. But if these guys are all healthy, you can just dress 3 and be okay. Also, I think in this scenario, you would like both Wilson and Steven Carlson on the practice squad, whether or not that's the case. Carlson would not be subject to waivers. I don't think he's a vested vet. Wilson would be, so he could get claimed. But if they don't land elsewhere on 53s, you could put them both on the practice squad. And remember, tight end or any player on the practice squad has 3 eligible weeks of getting elevated for game day. So that would be 6 of 17 weeks if you needed a 4th guy on game day to dress or if an injury popped up. So my guess, that's the direction they go. They could maybe add someone on the waiver wire as well. We'll see where that goes. All right, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Football is back, ladies and gentlemen, as the opening weekend of college football is here. The real opening weekend, I should say. The big boys will get going soon as well. It's very easy to play Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app on the planet, as you pick just more or less on stat projections on 2 to 6 player lineups. If you get your lineup right, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. That's right, certain lineups, $10 entry, could win 20,000 bucks. All eyes are on the Texas-Ohio State game, and I like Arch Manning to reach the end zone on a rushing score, so I'm taking more on half a rushing and receiving touchdown. That's a demon pick, by the way, which increases your payout if you do hit on this one. 2-player lineup, Garrett Nussmeier. I'm taking less on his passing yards. 279.5 against a stout Clemson defense. That's a lot for me, so I'm taking the less there. 20 to win 90. Again, normally it would be 20 to win 60, but it is a demon pick. Those are tougher to hit on Arch Manning, but he's a good runner. I could see in the red zone he runs one in. So 20 to win 90 on this 2-player lineup. Get started today. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Links in the comments and description. prizepicks.com/CLNS. All right, I'm keeping Kiran Amegadjie. I think the top 9 are mostly safe here. I guess there's a world where they could cut Theo Benedict, but I think he'd get claimed. You got your starters on the left side. It hasn't been announced, but I expect Braxton Jones to be the starting left tackle. Obviously, Joe Tooney, Drew Dolman, Jonah Jackson, Darnell Wright. Ozzie Trapillo's on the team, so is Ryan Bates. Luke Newman definitely is as well. He's had a good camp. Theo Benedict, feel pretty confident he's there. And I think they could go either way on Kiran Amegadjie, but my gut tells me they're going to keep him. I don't think they're going to punt on a 3rd-round pick from last year with someone with his measurables. I think they'll continue to develop him behind the scenes. He could be a trade candidate, like one of those late round pick swaps. Atlanta's lost a couple of tackles recently. Would they throw you a late pick or some kind of pick swap for Amegadjie? Would the Bears take that? I'm not sure. If they traded Kiran, would they just go with 9, or would they keep one of those interior guys like McFadden or Kramer? Certainly a possibility, but right now my gut tells me Kiran's on this football team. Going 10 defensive linemen as well. Montez Sweat, Dio Adengbo, Grady Jarrett, Javon Dexter Sr., Andrew Billings. Dan Wiederer has kind of made some weird references that Billings could be on the roster bubble, and I get maybe it's not a perfect scheme fit, but that would be pretty shocking. He's by far the best run defender this team has, especially at defensive tackle, so I do not expect that. Shamar Turner is going to be on the 53. I have Chris Williams making it as well. I went back and forth. Do I just keep 4 defensive tackles? Do I keep Zach Pickens? Do I keep Jonathan Ford? But I have Chris Williams. I thought he was the most consistent out of the 3. Austin Booker could be a short-term IR candidate. He's out, quote, a few weeks, so we'll see what his status is. Daniel Hardy, I've got making it, and Tanoh Kpassagnon. I'm keeping both those guys, and I think they're both on the bubble, as is Dominique Robinson. And I think this would be a fairly surprise cut because he was working with the 2s throughout a lot of training camp, but he got a little nicked up. He didn't pop as much to me in that final preseason game. Daniel Hardy did. He got a shout-out from Ben Johnson specifically, and Tanoh Kpassagnon is a Dennis Allen guy. So I think Dom Rob could be the odd man out. I had another projection I was working where they went thinner at defensive tackle, and I kept Dom Rob instead of Chris Williams, but with Shamar Turner missing most of camp and being a rookie, and apparently whispers of Andrew Billings maybe not being the perfect scheme fit, I ended up keeping 5 defensive tackles and 5 defensive ends instead of 4 DTs and 6 edges, which means Dominique Robinson for me is the odd man out. Pick one to cut. If you keep 2 and cut 1, who are you cutting here? Type DR if you're cutting Dominique Robinson like I did, DH if you're cutting Daniel Hardy, or TK if you're cutting Tanoh Kpassagnon. Remember, Hardy has tremendous special teams value. Okay, linebacker now. No changes. I've had this consistently throughout. 5's the sweet spot. There's really no one worth keeping beyond them, and I don't think you can keep 4. So TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Noah Sewell, Ruben Hippolyte, and Amen Agbagbamiga. Okay, corner. I'm keeping 6. I feel good about this 6. I think this is what it will end up being. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon. I do think Tyreek Stevenson ends up being your other starting corner because Nashawn Wright just did not play well in the preseason games, but had a strong camp. I think he's safe to make the team. Josh Blackwell, special teams ace. I do think Nick McLeod surpassed him as the backup nickel, so I think Blackwell is just kind of your true CB6, mostly just a special teamer, but I do expect him on the team. Now, what does that mean for Zay Frazier, the 5th-round pick out of UTSA who has not practiced at all in training camp, dealing with the personal issue, rumors flying around, what's going on there? My guess is they place him on short-term IR, NFI, some short-term list that they can utilize for that second spot to avoid placing him on waivers. Now, you could probably cut him and get him back on the practice squad only because if he's dealing with the personal issue and he hasn't practiced, is another team going to take on that situation without knowing what's going on? Like, I highly doubt the Bears are advertising whatever it is to other teams. So maybe they try to take that risk, but Al Harris pounded the table for him. He was a 5th-round pick. It's not like he was a 7th-round pick. 5th-round picks make the team typically out of camp. So I think they get him on some short-term list. They utilize that second slot for Frazier. Then they revisit this here in a few weeks. Okay, safety, same 4. The one guy that was intriguing to me, Major Burns, got hurt in that preseason opener, so he's obviously gone. But Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, Elijah Hicks, and Jonathan Owens are your 4. Alex Cook was the one guy I briefly thought about, but I don't think he makes the 53. And then your specialist, Kairos Santos, is your kicker. Torrey Taylor's the punter. Scott Daly's the long snapper. If you want a super surprise cut, maybe they would cut Daly, keep Luke Elkin, the UDFA, out of Iowa, but who really cares? It's the freaking long snapper at the end of the day. All right, grade the Bears 2025 roster. Regardless if this is the exact 53, I'm at least probably going to have 50 or 51, right? We're going to be in that ballpark. A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel about this roster this year? Had to make some tough calls this year. I'll be honest about that. Okay, practice squad projection, then we'll sign off. I think Austin Reed sticks around even as a fourth quarterback. He's a vibes guy. Ben Johnson seems to like him. I think he'll be here on the P squad. I have both Ian Wheeler and Britton Brown on the practice squad. I like the way Brown ran. Ian Wheeler slowly picked things up as camp in these preseason games went on. Not sure why he didn't dress in that last game, but I thought he looked pretty good in that second to last game. Maurice Alexander, kind of just your Devin Duvernay backup. If Duvernay were to get hurt, they could elevate him. Tyler Scott, I could see a team claiming him, but if they don't, I would certainly like him on the practice squad. I've got both tight ends, Joel Wilson, Steven Carlson, Doug Kramer, and Jordan McFadden as two offensive linemen, interior guys. I don't think you need to keep a tackle on the practice squad if Kron makes the 53 because you've got 5 tackles, so I don't think you need an extra one on the practice squad. Zach Pickens, Jonathan Ford, I've got both on the P squad. Could see Pickens getting a shot somewhere else as a former third-round pick, but if not, I think he's back. I think they keep Dominic Robinson because I do think he did some good things, assuming he clears waivers. I've got 2 linebackers, Power Eccles and Carl Jones on the practice squad as well, and then Alex Cook, who I mentioned a moment ago, as a practice squad safety, and then Trey Flowers as a veteran. I just think that outside corner spot, especially with, Jalen still recovering, obviously Terrell Smith out for the year. I think Flowers, as camp and preseason went on, did play better. He is a vet. You could have worse guys on your practice squad if you need to have a game day call-up. All right, there you go. My final 53-man roster projection. Some practice squad candidates there as well. We will be live tomorrow. I'll have another video later today. I'm sure some more cuts will drop, or I'll take a look at some surprise cut candidates, so stay tuned for that. My name is Harrison Graham. Subscribe and bear down.